Welcome back to Always Learning. And what are we doing today? Well, today is an exciting day. Today we are learning how to make caramel. Now, if you're like me, you're from Western Kansas, you might pronounce it caramel. So I pronounced it caramel for about 40 years of my life, and then I was calling one of my customers and I bought him caramel apples, and I was telling him, hey, we got some caramel apples back there, and he looked at me and went, you mean caramel? And I went, well, it's caramel. He said, you know it has an A in there. So then I looked at it and went, yeah, you're right. It is caramel. So if you call it caramel, that's fine, but it is actually pronounced caramel. So we're going to show you how to make caramel at home, and it's literally just 3 ingredients, 4 if you count a little bit of water. It's kind of as a cheat. It's literally butter, cream, and white sugar. Now while I was going down the rabbit hole learning how to make caramel, I did learn that if you want to make butterscotch, it's a little bit different steps in the process, but it's literally the difference is butterscotch is with brown sugar and caramel is with white sugar. So if you want to make butterscotch, just substitute out the white sugar, and you're going to kind of mix it in a little bit different order, but it's super simple as well. But we're going to start off, we're going to take a pan, we're going to put it on medium heat, we're going to add sugar, 1 1/4 cup of sugar, and then 1/3 to 1/4 cup of water, just to kind of help it dissolve and to help it from not crystallizing. When you make caramel, you want to make sure it doesn't crystallize, because then it won't taste and it won't be quite as creamy and smooth. So you're going to want to put the water in there to help it. You can add a little bit of lemon juice if you also want to keep it from crystallizing. As long as you don't touch it and get crazy with it and just kind of watch it, you should be okay. So we're going to put the water and the white sugar in, and then once we get it to kind of an amber color, which looks like caramel, then you're going to remove it from the heat, add the cream, and you want to make sure you use room temperature cream, because if you're using colder cream, that's going to crystallize the caramel as well. Caramel just has to kind of stay in this narrow band of temperature while it's going through the process. So we're going to add room temperature cream, which is just 1 cup of it. Whisk that in. We'll return it back to the medium heat. Keep whisking. Add the butter, and once the butter's melted, we're gonna watch it, and we're basically gonna set the timer. And that's when you want to just set the timer for 3 minutes. And at 3 minutes, you're gonna continually whisk, pull it off. Should be perfect. And then you want to put it in some kind of heat container that can take heat. We're gonna put it in this mason jar, put a lid on it, and it should keep in the refrigerator for 2 to 3 weeks. And enjoy. That should make about, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 ounces of caramel, enough for, I don't know, 8 or 9 people to enjoy over ice cream, or if you want to add it into your brownies to kind of give it a little pizzazz. But quick process, and I'm going to show you how to make it, so stay with us. All right, so we're at the stove. I'm going to turn it on medium to high, so I'm like at 5-ish, and I'm going to pour my 1 1/4 cup of sugar in, and then I'm just going to kind of smooth it around to get it. Now some people actually, they won't add water. They'll just go right to it, and you can probably get away with that. I'm just going to add a little bit of water, like 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup, kind of go around the edges, and then you don't want to stir. You do not want to stir this once it gets going. So before, you can kind of cheat a little bit, kind of move it around a little bit with the whisk, and get it kind of where it's all wet. But it'll eventually, once that sugar starts heating up, it'll kind of move around. But this will just keep it from burning, but you don't want to get it crystallized. That's the bad thing. And if it starts getting up on the sides, you can either take a little bit of water, like with a brush, and kind of go around it and get it off there, but it's probably not necessary. That's what it looks like. It's just kind of sitting in there as it's kind of heating up. And you literally don't want to do anything. This is where doing nothing is better than doing something. And we're just going to let that come to a boil. It's going to take, kind of turn that amber color. It's going to take probably 7 to 8 minutes. And so that's all we do. So this is where laziness or procrastination is actually in your favor. So do nothing. Even though you're tempted to do something, do nothing. kind of starting to crystallize, almost like it looks like it's forming this little cake. And now I'm seeing little pockets of brown kind of break through. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, or if this is a burnt batch. But if I did blow it, then I'm just going to start over. I don't know if it's because I tried to whisk the sugar and made it clump. Okay, now it's that amber color. Looks like it's kind of crystallized. I don't know if that's probably going to be bad, but we're going to try it anyway. Okay, we got that amber color. We're going to remove it from the heat. You want to make sure you get room temperature. It should start steaming. We're going to put just a little in, and we're going to whisk, 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 whisk. Should get really frothy. Something went wrong because it's really sticking. We're gonna whisk. We're gonna whisk. I don't know what's going on here. We're gonna add the butter. 5 tablespoons of butter. Room temperature. Okay. We're gonna put it back on a little lower heat. See if we can bring it back. This is where you want to set your timer for 3 minutes. Not real hopeful. Show you what it's looking like. It's not looking good. Come over here. It's really thick. Look at that. But you know, you just gotta trust the process. If it doesn't work, we're out of 5 tablespoons of butter and a cup of sugar and some water and some thyme. That's about it. So I might switch to a wooden spoon at this point. Once I get it all off the whisk, I think I will. Just continue to whisk, stir. It's kind of coming back though. I'm kind of getting hopeful. We'll see. Okay, we'll see if we can salvage it. It's smelling like caramel. Looking kind of like a thin caramel, so we'll see. I'm sure once we pour it, it's going to thicken up. My fear is it's just going to get really, really like candy, like toffee really quick. So we'll see. Okay, it's kind of frothy. It's not really looking like caramel, but it's 3 minutes in, so we're going to pull it. And we're going to pour it in our jar, and we will see. All right, it's all good. I mean, it's just really runny. So I'm thinking maybe I got it too hot. So maybe next time I do it on a little bit lower heat. So I think as it cools, it's going to get more solid. And then I'll let it sit here for a little bit and just kind of stir. And then I'll show you when I get it to where I kind of think it's the right consistency, when it's cooled down a little bit, and I'll pour it in the jar. Okay, so I've let it cool for a little bit. Look at that. Just keeps getting thicker. I'm sure when I put it in the jar and set it in the fridge, I'm going to have to microwave it before I can use it, but it is just getting, smells wonderful. It's just getting perfectly thicker. So anyway. All right, it's getting thicker. I'm just going to pour it in this mason jar. Like I said, it'll last for about 2 to 3 weeks. This is a, I think a 10-ounce mason jar, maybe 12, whatever they kind of come in. It's not the biggest one. And so I'll put the recipe in the description below, but I've tasted it a little bit, and this is amazing. So I think it'd be perfect for, if you're gonna have brownies and you wanna, you're making box brownies, you wanna add a little punch to it. Make some of this and drizzle it on top of it, or have it with your homemade ice cream in the summer. I think would be just bomb diggity. So anyway, here it is. Pretty simple to make. I thought I blew it, and it got like rock hard, almost like a toffee, and I just said, well, I'm just going to stay with it. see if I can learn something from it. And once I put it back on the heat and put the butter in, it all came back in and turned out perfect. So anyway, try it. Thanks for watching. Homemade caramel. Who knew? All right, so here's the next day. It's a little thick, but you know, if you're gonna have kids home from school, it's not the healthiest snack, but nothing better than dipping apples in caramel.